The Netsuke before us now is a recumbent wood goat by the highly respected artist Kita Tametaka. Tametaka belongs to a group of about 50 carvers who are mentioned in an important work, the first written record of Netsuke artists, the so-called Soken Kisho, which was published in Osaka in 1781 by Tsuryu Inaba. The Soken Kisho itself is really, or the part dedicated to Netsuke, is really little more than a list of these artists with some very sketchy information about them, and it's the only record of Netsuke carvers between the start of Netsuke carving around 1600 and publications in the early 20th century. So it's quite an important record, and although not all the artists that are mentioned in it are remembered to this day, some of those we consider most highly are recorded in that publication. So Tametaka is one of those. He worked exclusively in wood, largely animals, all 12 animals of the Chinese and Japanese zodiac, and some figural pieces, most of them more legendary figures, demons, Shoki the demon queller, such subjects as that, but predominantly animals. And he had an output which probably meant that he was turning out about 1 Netsuke a month, probably about 12 Netsuke in a year. We know of between 500 and 600 Netsuke by him. There were probably many that didn't survive to this day. The Netsuke that is in the Hermitage that we're looking at now is a model that I've seen before. He liked to return to his subjects, but what I admire about him as an artist is that whenever he repeated a subject, it was usually with some difference. So, for example, there's another model of a goat where the goat is seated with its front legs straight in front of it, looking over one shoulder, and in another model that goat is in the same position but looking over the other shoulder. Similarly with Pekingese dogs, which I've seen by him, there's a model which he particularly likes of a Pekingese on a cushion, and in that particular case, although I've seen 5 or 6 variants of the subject, each is different. He has varied the tilt of the head, the position of the tail, the direction in which the dog is looking. There are all sorts of small differences. His animals tend not to be entirely realistic. I think he gives them a character all his own. And he's particularly attracted to shaggy animals, so animals with thick coats, as here with this goat. So goats are a favourite subject of his. Equally, he carved many Netsuke of dogs, different types of dog, but he particularly favours dogs with shaggy coats. One other point I think is worth making about him. Traditionally, he's thought to have lived from about 1730 to 1790, but he's also credited with being the father of Nagoya carving. Nagoya is particularly noted for its wood carvers, and most of the school were active in the mid-19th century. So if Tametaka is to have been their master, I think he must have lived until at least 1830. So when he's mentioned in the Soken Kisho in 1781, I think it's fair to assume that he was probably about 30 years old then, already old enough to have made a reputation for himself, but that if he was born in around 1750, he could easily have lived to 1830 or so.